Hey there, Laker fans. Welcome to another episode of Lakers Detailed Postgame. Today we're going to be covering the Suns game. The Lakers just lost by double digits to the Suns in the preseason finale. We got a nice look at a little bit more of an extended regular rotation. Granted, we were still missing a couple guys that were held out for health reasons, Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe. But we did get a good game, somewhat through the first half and a quarter
Yeah.
of basketball before the Lakers pulled all their starters. But before we get into it, Raj, how are you doing since we last spoke? We are finally at the end of the preseason.
Preseason's over. Get all the fake basketball out of here. Get all
Yeah.
the non-intensity sleepwalking through sets and all that stuff. Time for the real thing. 6 preseason games, Renee, feels like a lot. Doesn't it felt like a ton of exhibition basketball. So it's nice to finally look forward to the real thing starting here in a few days.
Yeah.
5 days, 4 days.
Yeah,
So
Lakers opener for the season is going to be on championship night in Denver. They're going to be playing, against Denver. They'll be getting the rings. I'm sure the Lakers won't be out to watch them do that. And that's how we're going to start the season. And then we're going to see the same team that we played today for our home opener, the Suns,
mhm.
and go to it. So let's jump into it, Raj. Suns didn't play Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, which I was a little disappointed. I was kind of hoping that they would play,
Me too.
but so we could get kind of a preview. But they didn't play, so that's okay. It is what it is. What did you see from? Before we get into some interesting stuff that's been completely different from what we've been
Mhm.
doing all preseason, because I know there's a lot of like overreactions from Suns fans and Laker fans as well
Our
about some
depth
of the
was
mid.
fake, Renee. Our
Yeah,
depth
yeah,
is fake.
yeah. A lot of
It
people.
was
I,
all
I
a
saw.
facade. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw people like. I saw people tweeting like, well, I don't know, like after like 5 or 6 games of like, or however 4 games of the Lakers depth, like people are like, whoa, the Lakers depth's pretty good. Lakers depth's pretty good. Like after this game, like it just threw it all out the window. But I think because we're so close to the start of regular season, we're
Mhm.
gonna start getting like these sort of extreme takes. But dude, I'm worried, bro. Like we're this is game. This was what the fifth game, or like this is the game before regular season, and people are already getting like very antsy with the engagement take, like the baiting and stuff like that. And I don't
Mhm.
know what the regular season's going to be like. I feel like we're going to see like a new type of intentional, lack of better word, stupidity for the engagement. What do you have you been seeing that on your timeline or what?
Yeah, I actually wasn't online too much. I did see a
Yeah.
lot of the so I tweeted I think a few weeks ago that pray for Frank Vogel, because I wasn't sure how you build a top defense. And Suns fans went and found that. I was like, it's
Oh
not
my
really the
god.
right time to like let's let's take your victory lap, when it matters. But it's cool, it's fine, it's fun. But yeah, that was mostly what I've seen. Kind of our depth is fake, huh? You just lost by 32 to our guys. All
Did
right,
you did you
man.
you see Nick Wright? You saw the Nick Wright clip that was floating around about Austin
The
Reeves
Beal
versus Bradley
versus
Beal. Yeah,
yeah.
I was just
Oof,
like, dude, this guy's clearly like. I think like how we have like New Year's resolutions. I've got like
mm-hmm,
NBA New Year's resolutions. Like one of them is
sure.
just I'm not gonna get mad at the players when people say dumb stuff about like if Jokic has fans who are like gonna go above and beyond, Steph, everybody has fans, LeBron has fans, everybody has fans that'll go above and beyond to support him, and it's like gotten to the point where it's like misinformation now, or just you're just like throwing away all logic and like anything in basketball sense to make the case. I'm not gonna get mad at the players about that because I think people like
Sure.
start bashing the players. I'm just gonna get mad at the analysts, so it's like I'm mad at Nick Wright because this is like he's like, oh, I'd rather have Austin Reeves as my third guy next to KD. He's saying in next to KD and
Sure.
Booker instead of Bradley Beal, and I'm just like, okay, well, Bradley Beal's also a good player, dude. Like he's not like like we've never seen
It's
what he's gonna
really
be like
good.
in this. Yeah, so it's just like, but he said it, and I was like, Austin's just gonna get slandered now for it. Like everybody's gonna be like, oh, how dare Laker fans are comparing Austin Reeves to Bradley Beal. It's like, no, it wasn't us. It was Nick Wright. Like most of us respect that Bradley Beal's a very good basketball player. Like he can put up 30 a night. You know what I mean? Like he's done it twice already and he's an all
Sure.
NBA guard. So it's just, I think there's gonna be too much of that this season,
I
dude.
don't.
It's
I
coming.
mean, I don't blame Nick Wright because that's obviously his job is to stir up
Yeah,
that type of
that's true.
conversation, right? Like it's his. Their show is called First Things Like First, I believe. So
Yeah,
like
something like that. Yeah.
it's to wake you up in this rage of engagement. So like the more fun conversation to me because I think Beal versus Austin is kind of unfair. Bradley Beal I think has the resume already to where it's tough to make those. The more fun is like if you're building a roster, who would you want contractually in terms of
Oh,
their
for sure, for sure. Yeah,
that's a more contextual environment, but that's
yeah,
not their job. Their job is not to give you a contextual conversation, Renee. Their job
yeah.
is to give you a very, engaging one, which that one was. And obviously both sides are coming out with their flaming takes from it. But no, I did not take the bait, as the young kids say. I did not take the bait of
As
it. Take the
these
bait on
young
that one.
kids, you know what sucks? They've gotten so good at stuff. The analysts have gotten so good at debate that even if I
Yeah.
block all the shows, which I do, I have First Takes account blocked. I've got First Things First.
Oh man.
Every Fox show, I have all of their accounts blocked, and somehow fans still take the clips. Like they'll clip the show, and then they'll
Hmm.
post the video because that's like the new way of basically stealing tweets.
Right.
You just
Right.
take somebody else's video and then pretend like it's like your own and put your own caption over it. So they do that. So it still ends up on my timeline. It's like, dude, I
Yeah.
don't want to see this stuff. But that was a big one this week. Like people were like very animated. They're like, no, he's
Sure.
right. Like maybe Austin is a better third option. I'm like, all right, man. I think we'd be pretty if Brad was making what Austin was making, I'm pretty sure we would want Bradley Beal on our team right now as our
Sure.
two guard. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So but anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about preseason.
Yeah.
Brad didn't play, Booker didn't play. What stood out from you from this game from the starting group or just what anything you saw?
Yeah. I thought the starters looked good, man. At like that first few minutes there, it looked solid. I thought we didn't really get much, Vinay, this preseason of the Austin, LeBron, and AD combo. I mean, LeBron has played two halves, really, two like nonchalant halves. Like I thought tonight was the most. Oh damn! Like this action looks real. Like they were running a lot of screen the screener stuff where AD and LeBron running action solely with Austin. I thought that looked good. I thought our energy looked solid. AD looked like a monster. I think he had like
Amazing. He was a machine, dude. He's blocking everything today.
4 blocks in the first quarter. His conditioning looks awesome. He looks
Yeah.
in midseason form. That's the main thing I took. I thought Vinay, the air went out of the game when Katie didn't play the second half. Like it
Yeah.
felt like a nice competitive, not super regular season style, but it did feel at least like, okay, we're gonna battle, we're gonna compete, we're gonna try to at least win. Once KD sat out, the air went out of the room. Like you could see
Hmm.
the guys kind of just let's not get hurt in the third quarter.
Yeah.
And then obviously a balloon, but I thought the starters looked fine. Rui had a tough night, obviously, and we'll get into that, I'm sure. But I thought for the most part, it was kind of part of the course that we've seen all preseason. D'Lo's most least aggressive game, in my opinion, was very
Yeah.
passive. But in that like first few minutes where both teams had their real rotation out there, obviously Phoenix missing Devin Booker and Rui Hachimura, but other than that, their guys were out there that are going to be defending. Thought we cooked Nurkic in ball screens.
Yeah, he was getting smoked. Like
We
he was having trouble reading or even reacting in time to where that pass was going. AD
oh
had two. He almost had that
yeah
crazy poster too, like going down
we
the middle of the lane.
we put him in every action. We put
Yeah.
Nurkic in every ball screen action, and he had no chance. Also, Vinay, LeBron looks awesome. Like LeBron
Yeah.
looks great. He looked physically in
Physically, he
shape
looked
and
fantastic. His
form.
three ball looked pretty fantastic today.
Awesome. It looks like a guy
Oh
that
yeah.
knows he's gonna get spot up threes, and he
Yeah.
was incredible at finishing those. So it still looks like he had a play in transition where he just threw Eric Gordon and Kevin Durant right off
Yeah.
him and got a
Sidestep. Yeah.
finish, side step finish. Yeah. So those things I took. Would you see?
Yeah, I think the one of the things that stood out. I'll keep Braun separately because I thought there was two things, one good, one
Mm,
bad, that I thought I saw. But we can some of it we can I'll get to in a second. First of all, 80's timing defensively was pretty phenomenal.
mm,
Like he was reading every single layup attempt. They just kept Suns players kept trying to take reverse layups, which actually worked to 80's advantage. Like
yeah.
there was one where like Nurkic had a straight layup and 80 probably wasn't going to try and block it, but then he was just worried about 80 blocking it, so he went for the reverse and 80 blocked it anyways. There was a
Hmm.
sequence where like they forced a turnover or something, and I feel like Austin blocked it, then AD blocked it, and then like Austin tried to save it from going out of bounds, but it ended up being the Suns' ball anyways. But there was like a play where there's like really, really good defense. And I just thought that like the first 6 minutes, 7 minutes of that first quarter, like they were super locked in defensively. Like I was
Yeah.
shocked how locked in they were defensively. And it wasn't just AD, it was just like everybody was. Like Austin was deflecting uh, passes, D'Lo was getting his hands defensively. Um, we should talk about Taurean Prince. Like it,
Yeah.
I think he's going to be the starter now. Like we didn't hear much about Vando at all. I was listening to the broadcast before the game, and they were talking about how Vando was statistically the Lakers lineup was really great with Vando there. But I don't
Mm.
think. I mean, I don't think. Dude, Torian was running dribble handoff down screens with
With
AD
AD,
and
yeah.
setting up the pocket pass for AD dunks. Like, we're probably not going to get that kind of action out of Vando. Not that he
No.
can't do it, we just don't run that action for him in that manner. So it's just like, uh, I don't feel bad about it. I think we've talked about it before. Vando's versatility, he's good enough where he can play off the bench too and still be very
Yeah.
impactful defensively. But I think the thing that jumped out to me today was just they were super locked in defensively. They wanted to send a message, send it to him. KD came out. I think he bricked like his first 5, 6, 7 shots. Like I don't think
Yeah.
he made it.
Then
And
got hot.
and then he got hot, which he's gonna do. But they were locked in defensively, and Torian seems to kind of have a stranglehold on that 4 spot. What do you think about Torian and his
Yeah.
play so far?
I think I underestimated Vinay how much just putting a guy there that you have to guard
Yeah.
does for your team. Like I was pushing the Vando should start train, but you watch Torian play and you talked about the ball screen stuff. It's not super complicated, right? It's just, he's coming off a screen and all he's reading is, does the big step up on me or is he staying with AD? And if he doesn't step up on me, I have a little layup that I can make.
Mm-hmm.
He has enough size to finish at the rim. Also, Phoenix doesn't have much rim protection. I mean, it's KD and
Yeah,
Nurkic
they really
down there,
don't.
which
Yeah.
is not a lot of interior presence. Although Drew Eubanks, who I think he'll eventually start for them. Honestly, he looks better than Nurkic to me with them. But Torian able to come off ball screens and just make a decision, sidestep threes. I'm not sure if he nailed one of those tonight, but a guy that you just have to respect. And the glaring thing that keeps showing up, and we didn't get much of these minutes just because of LeBron missing every other game, not playing too many second halves. But to me, the spacing, Vinay, is just beautiful. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
plays where LeBron and AD are in the middle of the floor and there's no help. And like the help is late and it comes to a swing where like Austin got a wide open three at the top of the
Mm-hmm.
key that he nailed. Touring again as the kick out guy in the corner. Just opens up stuff to me where LeBron and AD look the most free that I've seen them. A lot of like screen actions involving the two of them, which we haven't really seen the last few years just because like if that's Vando there, even for example, that guy's in the paint already, right? That guy's
Mm-hmm.
right there ready to help. But with the spacing around, I mean, with D'Lo, Austin, and Torian, like they make you pay. You have to pay the price for over helping. And I think that stuff like AD had like a run in dunk. I think he missed
Mm-hmm.
that got fouled, but like that's just stuff we weren't seeing before. And I think Torian unlocks that in a way that I just underestimated. I didn't think it would. I didn't think putting one shooter there would unlock it this much, but it has. And Torian's not just a guy who shoots open threes. He's a guy that also is hunting them. And I
Yeah.
think that just changes the perception of the geometry of the floor to me when you have a guy in that spot who doesn't just take them when he's wide open, right? Like a whoever you want to put there, Patrick Beverly or whatever. Like that, this guy is actively hunting threes and he can attack the basket and has size. Those things to me are just too much. Where Darvin Ham can play coy all he wants, and I don't know the
Sure.
advantage of that, Vinay. I mean, I think Denver knows that that's coming
Yeah.
on Tuesday, but sure, coaches have their own games there. But like I just think Torian's fit like a glove, and he's the one that's played the most minutes with the starters. He's got the most reps. I'm sure in practice he's the one playing in that unit. I just feel like he should start in it, and if it's right, for sure.
Yeah, I think Torian. Yeah, Torian's fit is for sure. It's pretty seamless. Yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely think I'm on board with you in the sense that like I knew he could knock down open threes to a decent degree. It certainly more than Vando did, and his sort of making his hallmark has been being a 3-and-D sort of guy who spaces out in the corner and stuff like that. But him doing some on ball stuff like attacking
Hmm.
the rim. His finishing's been better than Vando's. That was like the main thing. If Vando's 3 ball wasn't there, our thought process was like he's got to get better at finishing at the rim if that's going to be the case. Because he's just too tall to be missing layups at the rim on straight line
Hmm.
drives. And Torian's been better. He had a play today where I think he took it up on KD, and KD did contest, like he pretty heavily contested the layup, and Taurean
Yeah.
was able to finish through contact. I don't think he got a foul, but he finished through it. So it's just like he might be just ready to fit into that role a little bit better. I love that they go into that action quickly. They don't waste time to set up that play, and they vacate that whole side. So it's just Torian and AD running that action together. So I think that's pretty cool to see them, see that the Lakers can just run that. Like he's new to the team. He's just been starting a couple of preseason games because Vando's been hurt, but they're already going into the actions that we're probably going to see in the regular season. So I think that's really good. He's probably going to be our opening day starter, I would imagine. I don't know what the extent of Vando's injury is. Like maybe they're just being very precautious about it.
He'll get evaluated tomorrow for sure.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
you see this in Torian though, the off the dribble stuff? Like
No, no,
I
no.
did not expect that at all. Like I thought he was mainly just a catch and shoot guy, but
Yeah,
he's been making teams pay. And again, it's not a crazy read. It's just stuff that is nice to have that
yeah,
dimension in the offense to where like if you close out on him, he just makes the right decision, right? Every time.
yeah.
Like it's either attack a closeout, take the shot, or move it. It's not hold it. And he doesn't have a
Think about
slow.
it. Yeah,
Exactly, it's quick decision, and he's not a slow release shooter either. So like you put all those together, Vinay, and it just it strangely unlocks a team that already has so much shooting. It just throws it over the top, kind of where
yeah,
it becomes an avalanche to guard. Where I think like the Lakers started out, I think they were up 12-3 or something, and like to me, like it helps the starts. How many times were we down like 8 to start a game? We're like,
yeah.
man, we can't score. Like a lot of that. Hopefully is nipped in the bud with Torian starting.
Yeah, just taking advantage of just kind of the defensive offense sort of stuff, and having a guy who can knock down open shots or just run the
Yeah.
floor, and be an offensive threat. Let me ask you something. So the Lakers
Mhm.
went to a lineup. So the typical substitution pattern, not typical, but the substitution lineup pattern has been the starters, and then after that, it's been like when Braun goes to sit, then they play Christian Wood, and then they play Rui
Yeah.
Hachimura, and I think D'Lo stays on the floor, and then they'll play like Max Christie or Gabe Vincent, who we expect to be the second guy. And so for me, I've been sort of kind of I've been they didn't do that today. They went to the
Mhm.
LeBron at point guard lineup, and Cam Reddish came off. So they played Braun, Cam, Rui,
Rui, Wood.
Wood, and who is the who am I? Was it Max or was it somebody else? I can't
Mm,
remember who, because it wasn't Jackson and Wood. Like Wood
no, I
was
think
the center.
it was one of Austin or D'Lo. I think were in the game
Yeah,
maybe during
yeah.
that
Okay,
time.
so they ran that lineup,
Yeah.
and so the moment that happened, I said, "Okay, something different is happening here because this is not the lineup that we've been running, or this isn't the substitution pattern that we've been running, and we certainly haven't run." I can't remember us running Braun and Wood at the five. I think we've said before, like Jackson Hayes at the five makes a ton more sense
Yeah,
next to Braun.
especially next to LeBron. Mhm.
Yeah, not Wood. I'm not surprised they tested it out, but I was surprised that they did it now. What did you think of that lineup? Because I actually have a few thoughts about what happened with that lineup.
Yeah, that's definitely was in my notes here. I thought that Rui, LeBron, and Wood is just too slow. It
Yeah,
felt very sluggish, especially in the half court, right? Wood and Rui are supposed to be, shooting threats, but I think they're more inclined to try to attack off the dribble. Rui trying to get to his mid range. Christian Wood, Venice just looks out of sync unless he's playing next to AD for some reason.
yeah,
Like to me, Wood's a guy you play next to AD, and Jackson Hayes is a guy that you try to throw next to LeBron. And I thought that lineup was just too slow. It got kind of cooked by Phoenix, and we missed some open shots too.
yeah,
And that lineup to me, it forces LeBron to try to beat his man off the dribble. And I thought Phoenix threw some like strong defenders at him. They had a Kogi, I believe, on him during that stretch. That's just a slow moving lineup that to me goes against the ethos of this team really that is trying to be. I thought that was rough to watch. Honestly, I don't want to see. I don't man, not I don't want to see, but I think that's a tough lineup to make look right in. And I think we always talk about how Rui and LeBron kind of operate in the same airspace. Where
yes,
if you have Rui next to LeBron, you're kind of not getting the best out of Rui. And I thought that
yes.
took him a little bit out of the rhythm. But what'd you see from that
Yeah,
unit?
so I'm 100%. I think this is that very last thing you said about Rui. Like if you're not letting Rui shoot the ball, or if you're not running actions or getting Rui the
Mm,
ball in his spots, then there's no point in having him on the floor as just a guy who's just there. Obviously unless you're using him for floor spacing. So I thought the offense was really slow. Like
Yeah,
the execution of the offense was really slow, not even the foot speed part. And Braun was, exclusively playing point guard, and I'm not concerned about it. Like he did have like transition plays off of defense and whatnot, stuff that he did. But when we were in that half court, I thought we took a really, really long time to set up stuff, and he was
yeah,
trying to set up Christian Wood a lot, and I was just like, why don't we give it to Rui? Like, why are we setting up Christian Wood for these shot attempts? And like he wasn't like Wood wasn't attacking the rim with like real conviction. Like, and that's why
at
it was
all.
so stark when Jackson Hayes, because he runs so hard to the rim and he knows that he's going to attempt a layup. He just, he's a great athlete too. It looks so different when Jackson came and subbed in instead of Christian Wood. I think I saw it on the time. A lot of Laker fans was like, "Whoa, Jackson just jumps off the page when he's running these actions with LeBron diving to there." But that is something that worries me a little bit. The
Mm,
Braun at point guard lineups, because Braun is running point, he's going to pick and choose how he wants to run, whether he wants to post up, whether he wants to run that guard ghost screen action, whether he wants to run standard pick and roll. I mentioned this on the last pod. We haven't seen much of LeBron this season, in the preseason, and
yeah,
like it was cool to see him figure out how to integrate himself defensively in the playoffs. Because he had a bum foot, but now his foot is like he looks pretty healthy,
yeah,
and his three ball looks really good. So I'm very curious to see how that those lineups work out. First and foremost, I don't think Wood can be your five in those lineups.
yeah,
I think it has to be somebody who's willing to really try to block shots and run hard up and down the floor, like Jackson Hayes. But I'm worried that like, how do I say this without like making people mad? Like Braun is kind of moody with how he likes to score right now. Like the last couple seasons, he's an older guy. He wants to pace his energy and stuff like that. Sometimes he wants to post up and be slow. Sometimes he wants to speed up the play. Sometimes he wants to run pick and rolls. Sometimes he wants somebody else to take the ball and you go run ISO and whatnot. A guy
mm,
like Rui or Austin succeeds in that manner. But it's like you have to have the right lineup of guys around him in those lineups that can recognize what he's trying to do. And like that's the lineup I'm very curious to know, like what that's going to look like in the regular season. Because I
yeah,
could see it going both ways. Like it could be really good and it could also not be really good. And
yeah,
force AD to have to play more. What do you think about that idea about
yeah.
Braun's moodiness of scoring and the success of those lineups? Because that's a lineup that we've been running since Braun has been here.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the time in the game where it's LeBron's turn, right, to just be the ball handler. And I think that's where they miss Gabe in that unit
Mm-hmm.
as well. That's kind of a place you want a just quick release guy, who doesn't have to, run like let's say LeBron runs an action that takes 10 seconds. You don't want to give it to a guy who has to take another 10 seconds to get whatever
Yeah.
he's going. Gabe's a guy that's going to come off a screen and pull right away. And I think you do miss that. I think defensively is my bigger concern in that unit. I just think Wood, LeBron, and Rui is just too slow to keep up in those type of units, and they're gonna be big and physical and try to do their thing that way. Also, to me, like Christian Wood is just so glaring because it's like you could tell the whole team is rowing in one direction,
Yeah.
and it feels like he's on a boat, on the next to them, like trying to keep up. Like
Yeah.
but he has his own paddles. Like he's not rowing with the team. Like he catches the ball, and you could tell it's oh, this is my turn to
Yes.
dribble into the paint, try to get contact, float, throw up a floater, and the refs are giving him zero respect on any of
Yeah.
that
They're not
shit.
going to.
They're just
Yeah.
they're telling him to run back, and so and you could tell that's kind of frustrating him. Also, he's still a little bit out of shape. Like I feel like he's not in peak Christian Wood physical shape,
Fair.
whatever that is. Like you could
Yeah.
tell he's just not there. So those are my concerns with that. And to me, I think we did sub Hayes in that, and you see like the Hayes just raises your athletic floor in a way
Yeah.
where I think that unit needs, and like you could see him not just with the block shots, Vinay, but you talked about the conviction of setting a screen. And LeBron, like when he's driving, he's looking for the big, right? That's kind
Yeah.
of what he wants to do to throw it up. And he's looking at Wood, who's still at like the free throw line, like when he screens and Wood is still kind of behind, and then LeBron has to take a tough shot. So I'd like to surround him with a little bit more gunslinging with Gabe, and then hopefully have Hayes in that unit. I just think that lineup was slow. This is also the worst Rui game, so like to take
Yeah.
from that, which you will. He looked out of rhythm. He missed his first layup at the rim, and he was just forcing it, which is why I
Yeah.
think it's nice for him to come off the bench. I don't want
Mhm.
Rui starting. Well, he's not going to anyway, as our predictions are. But like when he comes in, I want him to just focus on what he's doing, and I think scoring is kind of what you're gonna get from him. So worst game from him, it happens. Just could not throw the ball into the ocean, but yeah, that's LeBron's unit, So I think Darvin's gonna have to be very particular. Cam Reddish in that unit though, Renee. What'd
Yeah,
you think?
that was it. So that's when I was just like something like this is not a normal rotation because Cam hasn't been the first guard off
Mm-hmm,
the bench like this or first wing off the bench
mm-hmm.
like this in a while. And granted we don't have Gabe. It's usually always been Max. I think Max played with him, but it just like the minutes were good. Like sorry, not the minutes were good. Like the minutes were not good. The defensive minutes out of Cam were good. He did exactly the same thing today that we
Solid
said that he did.
defensively.
He disrupts everything. He gets his hand on every pass, every ISO play you make. Cam gets his hands on it. There were plays where he just like turned it over, came back, played defense, and got the ball right back. So whatever it is, like maybe that's his lane, just to be like this really great defensive guy that can occasionally make some offensive plays because he was horrendous offensively today. And for some reason, we decided that he was going to play point guard for us in the second half, which was really, really bad. I don't even know if he was like, if he knew that was coming, but whatever it was, it didn't work out in his favor. But I don't think there's no way that's a normal rotation. I just don't see it because he doesn't know what he's supposed to do next to LeBron. Like you put Max in that situation, I think he knows that. You put Gabe in that situation, and any of the other guards, they know what to do. And I don't think Cam does. And it felt like him because he hadn't gotten some minutes in some of the previous games that they knew this was the last preseason game of the season, so I think they put him in there. But like I can very much imagine Gabe being in that spot. If it's like Braun, Gabe, Max, um, Jackson Hayes, and like Rui. Now you have a
Yeah,
little bit more balance of isolation scoring, perimeter shooting, and defense, then switchability, which makes a ton more sense for a Braun at point guard lineup.
yeah.
But with Cam there, it's just like it doesn't make sense. I just want to bring one point. You said Rui was out of rhythm. I think that's because of that LeBron lineup. Because
Mm,
normally what that lineup was supposed that we've seen that we've also predicted is going to be either D'Lo or Austin at the point guard, Gabe at the 2, Rui at the 3, AD at the 4, and Jackson and not either Jackson or most likely probably Christian
would.
Wood at the 5.
Mm-hmm.
And Rui functions as the isolation scorer, so they set Rui up in those possessions. But now when you have Braun as a point guard, he can call his own number or he can give it to Christian Wood. And that's kind of what happened with that lineup today. And I think that's why Rui continued to stay out of rhythm. He never
Yeah.
had anything called for him consistently. He just kind of get it out of a box himself. So, but yeah, I'd no way, dude. I'd be shocked to see it can't
But
be part of the rotation at this point of the season.
let me ask you this, because I know he hasn't played much, but we have a 6 game sample of Cam Reddish now, right? Like I think he's at least played in these games. I think Cam understands this is a tryout for him, right? So I don't think
Yes.
Cam is going out there, walking through sets or sleepwalking or conserving, right? Like a lot of the rotation is conserving themselves for the regular season. I don't think Cam Reddish is doing that. I don't think Max Christie is doing that.
Yeah.
I think the gap between Max and Cam is pretty even. At least when I watch, I don't think there's a crazy gap from either. If you want to say Cam is defender better than Max Christie, fine.
Yeah.
I can give you that. But I think if Cam's just gonna be a a non-threat, I think I'd rather just see Max in those minutes. I think he's
Yes,
just
I agree.
better. I think he's just better than Cam Reddish as a basketball player. Cam is a better hooper. I think if they played one on one, if I just put the ball don't stop audio right here, I think
Yeah.
Cam is a better hooper, but
Yeah.
I think Max is just a better overall team player for this team, and I think he fits better. I like the two of them paired a little bit. I just think it's gonna be tough. When I was watching this game, Vinay, I remember we were talking about where does Vando fit.
Yeah.
I think that's where he fits. Those Cam
I
minutes,
yeah.
there's the Vando entrance, right? If
Yeah.
Cam's gonna be a designated defender, Vando's already better than him at that, and I think
Yeah.
that's where he fits. But I was watching Cam, and I hope it works out for him. It's just you could tell when he gets the ball, and every game he has one of these plays. He had one of them tonight.
Yeah, he
I
did.
think behind the back, off the pick and roll, into the
Yep.
lane, into this reverse finish, and
Reverse finish, yeah.
yeah, and it's just, and that's once a game. If you didn't watch the whole game, you just watch that. like, oh man, Cam like was incredible. But I just think throughout a game, it's very tough for a guy like that. As much as I'm sure he's being told like fit in your role, like you see him once he gets the ball, right? Like it just starts like that. It starts oozing out of him to become this on ball guy. And I think that's tough to fit in this environment where, the lineup is already crunched to what it is. But do you agree with
Yeah.
that? Like I'm sure they want to find a role for him. It's just, I think it's tough on this team where the guys who are going to be on the floor just do it better. Like you saw him at point. That's just not I don't
No
think
one.
that's a realistic
Yeah.
option for this team. And
Yeah.
off the ball, he just doesn't look offensively comfortable. And he just
Yeah.
does not look confident, comfortable, understanding of what his offensive role is. I think that's tough to fit in with the regular season starting in a few days.
Yeah, I don't think in terms of like his synergy, like his fit with the team right now, I
Mm,
don't think he should be in the rotation. I
mm,
think if he had to like fill in for an injury for like Vando and he has to play like that defensive role, just run up and down, play defense, chase guys
mm-hmm.
around screens, he could certainly play that role right now. Like if that's his sole thing. But if we're relying on Cam right now for like a lot of offense, or to do something significant on offense in terms of creation or scoring, that we're not going to get that out of him right now. I think he's just a little overwhelmed with just kind of whatever's gone on with it. Defense, like I said, defensively, it's there. Like you could see him being super
Yeah,
disruptive every time he's on the floor, and he's helping generate turnovers. But just outside of that, I don't see it right now. So I think in the chat, like I was basically saying I think they knew that he's probably not going to be getting regular season minutes, so this is just a chance for him to get a lot more minutes. That would explain why he got point guard duties basically in the third quarter.
yeah,
And then when he sat down, then Max got all the duties, and all of a sudden the Lakers offense started kind of humming again with the South Bay guys. So you can see like the contrast in the style of play and the comfortability in the style of play. So I don't expect Cam to be in that rotation. I certainly hope that Christian Wood is not playing the five in those LeBron at point guard rotation. I think those two lineups or those two specific things, that LeBron lineup being the very next lineup after the starters, and then the Cam Reddish minutes. I think those two things are not going to work out the way that they're not going to carry over into regular season. I think that was just this
mm,
preseason thing to get minutes, and this game was on NBA TV, so people are going to be watching. Kevin Durant's playing LeBron. There's going to be eyeballs on the game, so it's an opportunity for them to get sort of primetime minutes.
sure.
Um,
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I do think Darvin is gonna experiment with that though. I don't think that was the end of it. I mean, they spoke about how this would be a test run, and I do think they're
yeah,
gonna at least try it a little bit. And theoretically, like on paper, it makes sense though, right? Like Christian Wood spacing for LeBron, Rui spacing for LeBron, and maybe if Gabe is in there, or you have Vando in there, maybe for Cam, maybe that changes a little bit of the geography of the floor, but geometry of the floor. But yeah, it's a tough, slow, groggy lineup, and the Suns kind of just ran us out with that in transition. They got a lot
yeah,
of steals during that unit. Again, like I watched Christian Wood, it's just very slow and sluggish for a team that's where their offense pops. When
yeah,
it's humming and rolling, like it's a very smooth and the ball's moving around, and he's the ball stopper on this team. Right, like the once the ball goes into him, it's a analyze the floor kind of thing instead of a instinctual. Here's the defense. Here's my read. It's more how can I get to the rim? How can I draw a foul? And I think that's tough in that unit where LeBron's already, like you just said, holding the ball and trying to manipulate the defense in his way. It's a weird combination. I think we're gonna see more of it, but yeah, I loved Hayes. They should just flip that, have Hayes with LeBron and Wood with
yes.
AD, and I think that's a more synergistic lineup for the
Yeah,
team.
if they do that, if they do the starters, then go to the
Hmm.
80 Wood second unit with
Hmm.
Rui as the three for Braun, and then it'll probably be D'Lo, I would guess, is probably going to be the point guard for that with Gabe. And then the
Hmm.
next shift when 80 comes off the floor is Braun and Jackson Hayes. We might run into one of those things where like the minutes kind of become an issue. Like there's a little bit
Hmm.
of politicking for minutes. Ham maybe trying to give Wood some extra minutes, extra Braun. But if it transitions into a Braun Jackson Hayes 4-5 with Rui, Gabe, and then maybe D'Lo comes
Yeah.
out and Austin comes in or Max comes in for that lineup, I think that those three rotations can all do two shifts, one in the first
Hmm.
half, one in the second half, and be successful because they're distinct enough in styles but there's enough athleticism in each lineup. There's enough shooting in each lineup, and the person that's meant to be the black hole in those lineups, which is LeBron in LeBron lineups, AD when Christian Wood is the 5, AD and Rui when Christian Wood is 5, like that I think everybody can get their shots, in that regard. So I'm hoping that ends up being the rotation. Because if they do whatever they try to do today, I don't know where we're going with this, but we'll, like you said, we'll see. I think they'll make adjustments on the fly when it comes to
Yeah,
it. One thing about Braun, I think Braun was like very casual this game. Like he played
sure.
good, but I think he was being very casual. Like he was doing that thing where like he wasn't really trying too hard to grab rebounds. He'd
Yeah,
like try to steal the ball here and there. It had some deflections and whatnot. He was doing this thing. The reason why I say that, and not in a bad way, but the reason why I know that he was doing this thing where he kept driving left, and then he would do like this one-footed shot, like this one-footed floater, Luca style floater
yeah,
shot. And
yeah.
I was just like, I don't know why you're taking these, like, because you never take these like this. And he tried to throw like an alley oop to AD like that, even though he could have just taken a layup like right at the rim
Mm.
instead. I think in the second quarter or something like that, or it might have been the third quarter. So he was just doing stuff like that, and I was just like, oh, all right, he's just staying in condition, warming up,
Yeah,
that sort of thing. And it's crazy part is he played casually and he still had like 19 at the half or something. So that gives you an
he's
idea.
gonna
Yeah,
sleepwalk to his 27,
yeah,
7, and 8. Like
easy.
again,
Yeah,
easy. He had like 19 at the half. Just
yeah,
I was getting it from the line, couple spot up threes. Again, like when that offense was humming, like you can see coaches talk about this a lot. How the ball finds energy. You could tell when the ball swung to him, even though it was a light contest. Like the shot looked good from him. He looked clean. What'd you think of D'Lo tonight? I feel like this was his first kind of not say poor game, but like just not the shining bright kind of preseason game. Again, I think the Devin Booker and Bradley Beal not playing, and then Kevin Durant just absolutely sitting out,
yeah.
absolutely took all the oxygen from this game. Everyone was excited. I'm glad, Vinay, I didn't drive out to Palm Springs today. I was very
I know.
close to.
We,
I was
we were
very,
discussing that.
very,
We were
very
discussing
close to
this
driving
game.
out, and
Yeah,
Frank Vogel played, put the rope a dope on us. Like, just
yeah,
decided not to play the Stars. But yeah, I thought that took the energy. But D'Lo felt passive to me.
yes,
Wasn't aggressive shooting off the pick and roll at all as he's been. What'd you think of him, or was it just kind of
yeah.
a preseason game?
Yeah, I mean it's probably a little bit of both. I think there was a little bit of, hey, this is the last preseason game. Let's not get hurt before the regular season starts. There's probably some
Yeah.
element of that too, also there. But at the same time, so he was good on defense. So I'll give him that. His
Mm.
hands were good on defense. He was running back. I think he turned it over on a play, ran back, and then the guy that stole it drove to the rim, and I think it was Jordan Goodwin or something like that, and he knocked the ball out of his leg, off of his leg in transition, and the Lakers got back. So it was, again, his defensive um, intent, his like defensive conviction's been really good all
Mm-hmm.
preseason, and it was good today too as well.
Oh yeah.
But again, like the Bucks game, this was a game where I was keeping track of how is he dealing with the physicality of the game. Is he
Mm.
matching the physicality with his own brand of physicality, or is he giving it up? Is he being passive? And I don't know if I'd say that he was being completely passive. I think there were certainly some times where he's like attacking the rim. He was like being a little bit more choosy with his spots.
Sure.
It felt like the Lakers were aggressively getting the ball to like Austin off of just him running around and Austin looked good too,
Yeah.
attacking the rim and with the pull up and whatnot that he was doing. So he had that super hilarious flop to start the game, which was I was just like, all right. I was like, I wouldn't. If I was a ref, I wouldn't give that to you just off the strength of how exaggerated it was. But um, I'm going to be curious. I think a lot of teams, the scouting report on D'Lo is just going to be the same as it was last year. If you're physical with him, you can have him like he'll remove himself mentally from the game. So it's going to be very curious to see how he responds to that, because he can't respond to that by just giving the ball up and removing
Yeah.
himself from the offense. He's too crucial, like to our offense for him to be able for it to do that. So I'm interested. Did you
Yeah.
were you worried about like just kind of his play from this game?
No, I just like I think this was more a let me just go through it and not get hurt and move the
Yeah,
ball around. That's the vibe to me. I think when Beal and Book decided to sit down, I just thought that took the energy and the oxygen out of the game. And then I thought LeBron and KD had their kind of mano y mano without guarding each
yeah,
other kind of thing. Like I'm gonna score here, you're gonna score here. We're not really guarding each other, but we're gonna
Yeah.
put on a little show. But yeah, I thought the plus minus in this game kind of told some of the story. So Taurean was a plus 15, which is kind of crazy for a game we lose by 30. But Taurean Prince is, or lose by whatever we lost by, 23. Taurean Prince a plus 15, which that matches the eye test, right? He
Yeah.
was awesome with the starters. Was awesome. Austin a -3, AD +2, LeBron +2, so kind of just even out. D'Lo +5. Here goes the bench. Cam was a -28 in 20
Yeah.
minutes, which
Sounds about right.
is actually impressive. To that's tough to be a -28 in 20
When
minutes.
it's a greater minus than the minutes that you've actually played, there usually
It's
something really, really bad happened in one of those
That's
lineups.
tough. Rui
Yeah.
a -30 in 19 minutes, which again is just.
Yeah.
And here's the one to me, Renee, which is a number I don't think you'll even see. This is a rarity, but Christian Wood was a -35 in
Wow.
15 minutes of game time.
That's that 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 when it was 65-64 and they subbed the
Yeah,
starters out,
yeah.
that lineup got rolled so bad. It was the Cam Reddish. It was like, yeah, it was Cam, Max, I think Rui,
Mhm.
Jackson, and Wood. And I was just like, I
Oh,
don't know what's going on with this lineup. I was
Hayes
just
and
like,
Wood together.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
man,
And then they
that
weren't
was
getting
tough.
the ball to Rui at all. Like it was just Rui was just standing around like almost the entire time, and it was just like Cam, go play point guard and figure out the offense on your own. Like it's a pickup
Yeah,
game at LA Fitness, and I was just like, what is going on? Why are we doing this? But like I said,
Cam
I think
picked the
they're just
ball
giving
up, I
reps.
remember, at, like, near half court, and he was trying to point out, like, the horns and where they should go, and the guy just picked him because he's, like, staring, like, he's, like, staring at Wood and Hayes and pointing them where to go, and I think he
Yeah,
still has no, like, he's still kinda confused on what should
yeah,
run, and I forgot who was guarding him, but just picked his pocket and went the other
yeah,
way. I was like, "Oh, this is ugly." I would love to know. I don't even know if they have lineup data for preseason, but I would love to know the Hayes and Wood, like, two-man lineup in terms of how
can't be good.
quickly that just got destroyed off the floor.
Yeah,
So yeah, it was funny, just looking at the plus minus from this game. But yeah, it's just that those are lineups you hope to never see the light of day in a in
yeah.
a in a real game.
If we see that lineup, either the Lakers are up by 30 something, or something
Down.
really
Yep.
bad has happened to like the first 10 players on the roster. If we're seeing that,
Yeah.
or we're getting blown out. One of
Yeah.
those two.
Exactly.
Um, well, let's see. We've covered Torian. We've covered Braun. We covered D'Lo. Austin. Anything you see? Anything out of Austin? Yeah, I saw Katie. I tried to ISO Austin once. He got him with the body bump
Mm.
but missed the jumper. Then he had the turnaround fade. And then I saw at the
Did the too
half
small.
he did the too small to him. You know, like in jest. He wasn't like
Yeah. Sure.
he's teasing him or whatever. So it was cool to see like Katie have that interaction with Austin. And I think Austin like hit him on his butt or something like that as he was walking away just because he was messing around with him. What did you think of Austin? Like, I thought he was very active defensively, much more active than I
Yeah.
probably expected him to be. But it seems like he's probably taken a little bit of um, intent on the
Yeah.
defensive side too as well.
Yeah. Uh, If the pull up jump shooting is real, Vinay, which I think we think has a very large chance to, that
Yeah,
just changes everything for this team. And I feel like it's going in every time it goes up. Like
yeah,
the
it looks good.
Phoenix, it looks incredible. I think like he might have just not had the legs for it his first few
Hmm.
years in the NBA, but you could tell now, like he's taking threes from way outside. Like the wide open one was like 2 feet, I think, behind the 3 point line.
Yeah,
The one where the Suns guard, I forgot who it was, but went under the screen. It was no hesitation. You're going under. This
Grayson
is a
Allen.
this is
Yeah,
Grayson Allen, yes. You go under, this is a step back three, and you have no chance to
yeah,
contest this. And it just drills. To me, that's the shift in terms of, like, I think we talked about it, where his jump comes from. It's not just more on the ball, it's the shot attempts and the volume. And I think he has a chance to where he has the freedom and the green light to take those and be confident and take four in a row if you're open. And
hmm,
we had a play, like, this is my favorite part of the game, was we went to that. We didn't get much of this again in the preseason, and we had to kind of do this on the fly in the playoffs. But we ran a lot of actions where it was just LeBron, AD, and Austin running actions together. And the floor was space. I think Torian was in one corner, and I don't remember who the other player was. It doesn't matter. But those three together in the middle of the floor, We ran it 3 straight times, and the Suns defended it 3 different ways, and
Yeah.
they got cooked 3 separate times, right? So I think the first time was they overplayed on Austin, and LeBron went down and lobbed it to AD, if I have that correct. The next time they went under on the Austin screen, and Austin hit a 3. And the next time they chased over the top, and Austin had Nurkic in like no man's land, hit
Yeah.
a little floater on him, and then the Suns called timeout. And I went, oh, like that's where the Lakers can become really tough. And then obviously, we went to hell by putting in lineups that make no sense. But like to me, that was my favorite part of the game, was
Yeah.
watching those 3 run actions together with a space floor. That was the most. I think D'Lo, sorry, was in the
D'Lo would have been the fifth guy.
opposite
Yeah.
corner. Yes.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I think Austin becoming this threat that is also a threat to score at the rim. He gets a
yeah,
lot of separation on his pull up jumpers because he sells the drive so well that guys are overplaying it and he can stop it on a dime. It doesn't look like what Kyrie does, right? Like Kyrie's super smooth and it gets the whole crowd to go ooh and ah. Like Austin's a little more herky jerky.
sure.
It's very abrupt of a stop. He uses a very hard step to stop, but he gets a lot of separation on those jumpers. And if he can hit the free throw line ones with like any consistency, which he can, it looks really good. I think he's already got the read off the screen down. Like he knows
Yeah,
I think the Grayson Allen three, the three hit, it was actually he was going to reject the screen. I think that AD
mm,
was going to set, and Grayson was going to follow him, and then he reverses it back with a behind the back dribble, and then he actually uses the screen. Grayson's completely lost, so he's going to end up having to go behind it. But by then, Austin's already shot it, and he just drills it, no question. It doesn't even think about it. Hits the long three to start the game. Doesn't even take a dribble or step in. He's just fully confident taking it. And these shots are not hitting the rim. Like they're going right through the net, like he's been
yeah,
working on it. So it's just, I think we've said it multiple times now. Like Austin's leap is not going to come in the form of like he's unlocking something. Austin's leap is just going to come in the form of him shooting the ball more, like
yeah,
him being more like calling his own number more, which is something he should do because he's very capable of taking those shots. And stylistically, he is one of the few guards on our team that can be very capable, like a threat at all 3 levels, and can't
yeah,
get he can't get what's it called? You can't bully him out of those spots. Like he'll find a way to either draw a foul or get a clean shot off or set up a wide open look for one of his teammates with his dribble. So I'm very curious to see like how much involvement he gets, and I think probably the best way. Like I've been thinking, like I think the best way to leverage like what he's doing is to give him the early reps in the game because like LeBron
yeah.
sometimes takes a little bit of time to get ready, and like it feels like it makes a ton of sense to let Austin get those reps or let D'Lo get those reps, set up AD, take the midi, take the floaters, take those pull up jumpers, have him come off screens and take those threes. And if he hits one or two, it feels like does it seem to you like it gives like energy to the rest of the team? Like, okay, we've already
Yeah,
seen the ball going a couple times, now everybody feels good about it.
definitely. I don't know if you agree with this, Vinay, but it's felt like, at least I could be wrong, but it's felt like the first quarter belongs to D'Lo in terms of just
Mm-hmm.
the on ball, right? Like in terms of who's going to be the initial creator. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
D'Lo's the one that starts it, and then as the game moves, they give it to Austin and let him have kind of this section in the game where he runs it. But yeah, I think what Austin amplifies what LeBron and AD's threats are, which is just, it's very tough to find. Like you watch on the team opposite of us, where like KD, Book, and Beal, to me, they obviously amplify what they do, but those 3 don't really run actions a lot together because teams, I
Yeah.
think, switch a lot of that stuff. That's why I like involving Austin in this LeBron and AD's kind of, because teams don't usually switch those as
Mm-hmm.
much, and I think it just changes how they have to guard you. But yeah, man, I think Austin's lead, like you said, comes from him having the ball more, him taking more shots, and we'll see how the shot distribution goes. But he's looked awesome, and you're right. When his shots go in, it's definitely electric, and we'll see how it goes from there. I'm interested to see how him and D'Lo continue to play off each other. If it's
Mm-hmm.
more turn based or they run some stuff together, but it's felt like to me it's D'Lo starts the game and tries to cook early on, and then Austin kind of gets it in the second quarter. But no, he's been great. The Team USA looks like stuff it's rubbed off on him.
Yeah.
KD joking with them is cool and dope. So yeah, just I think he's looked ready for him, and AD looked the most, and D'Lo obviously in the preseason, but I feel like those three have looked the most just
Mhm.
regular season in midseason form so far.
Yeah, I'm on board with you that with that. I feel pretty good about the starting group. Yeah, obviously Bronze hasn't played all the games. Austin hasn't played all the games, but I feel pretty good about their what the starting group is going to look like. Their
Hmm.
identity. It feels like the identity of the team is pretty set as to how they want to
Yeah,
play and how they want. There might be some growing pains when it comes with the bench guys figuring out who the right combination is, the fourth or fifth guy in that lineup, because sometimes it can make or break a lineup depending on if that person's shooting too much or not playing well enough on defense. So it'll be curious to see. Um, the Vando thing is still kind of a question mark. I'll be very curious to see how Ham inserts him. I think you're right. He's probably going to be like that wing what Cam was doing today. He'll probably come off the bench at least until we figure out what happens with his health situation. But it looks like
yeah,
Torian's got it kind of got that spot locked in. I'm trying to think, man. Like so now, we talked about this game. What are your thoughts on like everything you've seen in the preseason so far? Like if you had to pick like one or two things that are like something that you feel very confident about going into the
yeah.
season, what is something that you feel super confident about?
Yeah, I think this is going to be an awesome offensive team. Like I think it's going to be very tough to guard this team. We just have a lot of shooting. They're 10, 11 deep. We have real rotation guys that I think just aren't going to play. So I'm super confident in that. I think it's important for Darvin to find the right rhythm in terms of the lineups and keeping dudes like Max played 5 minutes in the first half. That's really
Yeah,
tough for a guy like
yeah,
that to find any rhythm and get his feet under him during a game. So I think like that type of stuff to me is going to be super important. But man, this team is deep. They're problems, but they're good problems to have. Like
yeah,
this is the type of issues you want on a basketball team. The camaraderie and the vibe, and all the off the court stuff looks as it should. But to me, I think this team's going to be an awesome offensive team. I think the spacing, the modernization of it, the just entering modern basketball, I think is going to help this team so much. But that's my main takeaway, man. Everything else seems like was kind of where we predicted. The Christian Wood stuff still is such a enigma for me. Like it's such a confusing part of this basketball team that I think we're gonna have to figure out and be very careful and intricate and detailed with. I don't think you can just throw Christian Wood out there. I think it's gonna bleed you points.
yeah. If
You know
if
what I
you
mean?
put him
Like
in the wrong lineups, it could definitely go the wrong way.
right. Like look, minus 35 in 15 minutes obviously is an
Yeah.
extreme outlier, which I'm not blaming all of that on Christian Wood. I'm not trying
Mhm.
to do that. But like he's, susceptible to that type of stuff. Like that's just the type of defender and energy type of big he is, where I think you
Yeah.
have to be careful with it. But yeah, those are my like main takeaways. How about you?
Yeah, I think my main takeaway is this team. I think the players on this roster, the roles and the pecking order is very clear compared to
Yeah.
what we've had the past couple of seasons.
Mm,
Um, I think a lot of the players outside of our stars, and I wouldn't even say our stars. I'd say outside of LeBron, have been empowered to be aggressive, to be themselves, which is something that
mm,
we didn't really get, the past couple of seasons. Um, and I think that helps. Their ability is already. I think the ability of the roster to be able to score the ball in different ways, defend different kinds of teams, different kinds of styles. That's for sure. I think that's a given. The roster is going to be much better than it is last season. But I think that part of empowering these guys that hey, you don't have to just wait on LeBron to do this for you. You guys are very capable of scoring even when he's not playing. You guys are very capable of defending even when he's not playing. We don't have to rely on even when he's on the floor. We don't have to rely on him to bail us out. You can run our actions and get a good shot off even without it because we're all capable. We have lineups where we have capable shooters
yeah.
and scorers. So I think that is going to be a very noticeable thing. The confidence of this team, because I feel like that's actually catching me off guard sometimes. Like when they
Yeah.
run some actions and somebody takes a shot, like Rui takes that pull up off the down screen, the same down screen action that Torian set up a pocket pass for AD for
80.
today.
Mm-hmm.
Last game, Rui ran that same action and turned it into a pull up jumper, which was wide open, and he cashed it. I think the two times that he took it. So it's same action, two different results, but it's still both positive results. So it's like they've been clearly empowered to like just run the act, like trust us, run the actions. You guys will get what you want to get, and we know that you guys are capable of knocking down the shots or making the play that we need you to. That's caught me off guard, honestly,
Yeah.
because I felt like, for a while, since we've had LeBron and AD, outside of like that first season, we've had a lot of like, we're treading water without LeBron. Can we
Hmm.
tread water without LeBron on the floor? Because playmaking is hard to come by. He's one of the greatest playmakers, if not the greatest playmaker of all time. But now I don't like. So now when we see it happen, D'Lo's running plays, the offense looks good.
Yeah.
Austin running plays, the offense looks good. It like catches me off guard. Like when we had
Yeah.
Russ, he was making plays and stuff like that. But like I knew what he was going to do. He's going to drive. He's
Hmm.
going to kick it, or he's going to throw the lob to AD, whatever he's going to do. But now I feel like there's more versatility in how we can score. There's like three
Yeah.
guys we can run the same action with, and I think that's something that teams may not be prepared for.
Exactly.
Opposing defenses made it, so I think that's something I feel like pretty confident about. Like if one guy goes down, or if he gets in foul, like Taurean gets in foul trouble in the first 2 minutes, we know who we're going to sub in, who's going to just pick up the slack and be able to do nearly everything he does, or maybe something even more than he
Right.
does. What's a concern? What is like a question mark that you still haven't had answered going into the regular season?
Yeah, I think I've made my I'm concerned about the Christian Wood minutes. I just think
Mm-hmm.
like that's a thing that's gonna stay with the team for a while. I think they're gonna have to figure that's an equation you have to figure out. I don't think that'll be answered today. I don't think it'll be answered in 3 weeks. I think that's just something that will be a continuous thing you have to solve. And just the minutes rotation, man, like how this works. Feels like we have a lot of guys who feel like they should be playing, and that obviously creates competition. That also creates guys playing with looking over the shoulder, with
Mm-hmm.
minutes and afraid to make mistakes, and that's a tough way to have guys playing. So those are the two things for me. Other than that, like this team has kind of fit the way I thought it would. Gabe has
Mm-hmm.
been seamless as a shooter, and D'Lo and Austin have kind of looked like themselves. Regulars and LeBron has looked fine athletically. AD looks like this is my team kind of thing. He's kind of come out in terms of a like I'm gonna. Have you seen that? Just push this back real quick. Have you seen enough in preseason to where it feels like AD's kind of taking the mantle of the team a little bit, or has LeBron just not played enough to to answer that question? This felt like the most aggressive AD early on, like at least in preseason that from the last few years usually, works his way through. It feels like this has been a very aggressive from the start kind of. No, I'm here. I'm in shape. I'm ready to go. Like I'm gonna be aggressive. I'm taking jump shots. Hit another three. He hit his first like jab step three I've seen in a
I
very
saw
long
that.
time.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
thought he wasn't going to shoot it when he pump faked it. I was just like, oh, I think he's going to drive because he doesn't know. I don't know if he looks confident in taking it. But he took it
yeah,
anyways. He made it.
yeah. That was with him next to Jackson Hayes, so he's the spacer obviously in that unit.
Yeah.
We've talked about even with Christian Wood, he's the spacer. But I like the shot attempts going up, a few fadeaways that didn't go in, but I just like the volume of shots. And I think that that team needs it. But have you seen that like AD's kind of taking the mantle as I have to kind of carry the offense
Yes.
through our regular
I would
season.
I would say again, not to draw the divide between the fan base, but I would say that I think
We're
we've
rooting
said
for the
before
same
that
thing.
yeah, we're all rooting for the same thing. Most of us are, but I think this team, I think the non-LeBron guys on this team are constantly looking for AD, and I think last season or the past couple of seasons, there's been obviously Russ was doing it, Braun does it from time to time, but I think the guys that we have on this team are actively searching for AD. So he's not allowed to be aloof, like he's not allowed to be. I'm just going to stand around for like 5 minutes straight because with Austin, with Gabe, with D'Lo, you have to come and screen for me. Like
Yeah,
this is the actions that we run. There's no escaping this. Like you can't just stand in the corner. I'm going to go call LeBron to screen or Rui to screen for me instead. No, you have to
it's
come.
not
And
isolation, right? It's not
yeah,
isolation basketball.
yeah,
You got to
yeah,
be involved in the play.
yeah. So you have to come and screen for me. And I'm sure Jackson and Wood will get some of those actions too as well. And we might run screen and roll action with Rui as a screener and Braun as a screener. Um, but I think this is the first time that that's happened because there's certainly been times where Bron and AD are both on the floor, but Bron's kind of calling his own number, and he'll occasionally look for AD, which it's Bron is one of the smartest guys, so he's going to do that accordingly. But it was always hard because when both of them were on the floor, the other three guys would always give it to Bron. You get what I mean? Like they wouldn't look for AD. Russ did it. Like we saw him do it at the end of some games. But a lot of times, most Laker fans want Bron to have the ball at the end of the game and have him dictate what the offense is going to be. And I feel like with D'Lo and Austin, these guys, and I think Bron's empowered them too a little bit. Like they're like, no, like we know Bron is there, but you have to run this with me. Like we're going to run the ball screen with me because other teams just going to switch between you and Bron. So you have to run it with me,
Exactly.
or you have to run it with D'Lo. So there's no escape for him now. I would hope that, obviously we'll see it in the regular season. I would hope that the end of games don't turn into, the second half of games don't turn into AD only took 2 shots. AD only took 3 shots in the second half. I think that'll be the real telling point about how involved he is. And I think the guards will try and keep him accountable by keeping him involved for the ball screen offense.
100%. I do have some concerns in terms of, again, we're an offense where the first shot is the best shot. Like that's kind of where that's Gabe, Austin, and D'Lo both, as they should, run on that idea where if I'm open, that's a good shot, whether there's 22 seconds left on the shot clock or whether there's 5, right? And to me, that's where AD has a potential to get lost. And like, I don't worry about LeBron with that because he's another ball handler out there where you can easily just go and inbound you can just go get the inbound and like that, that fixes all that. AD doesn't do that as often. So that's a concern of mine, but I do like how much the offense is centered around AD screening. And I think that allows him, like you said, not to be aloof or just be involved in every play, even if he's not shooting, like just be involved, touch the ball. Like how many games would we be like, man, has AD touched the basketball in 4 minutes? And it's because we ran 8 straight post ups with, LeBron on one side and the floor is shrink to the point where there's no shooting out there. So you can't run actions with those 2 guys together because they'll switch it and then swarm. And this is a nice, I think, place for him to really just be aggressive at all times. And I think they've really empowered him with the jump shooting and the floaters and the drives. And he had like plays where he was like driving from above the free throw line down the lane and getting calls. Like that stuff that, that I think we want to see. Didn't bring the ball up as much in this game.
Yeah, he did. That's what I'm saying. This game was so strange because it's like everything that we did in the Bucks game, we didn't do any of that in this game. And then everything in the game before that, we didn't do anything in this game.
Yeah, it was just weird because it was so prevalent in the other ones. And that's really like in the 5-out offense that we're running, like it's usually the big man who brings it up and then all the other guys flow out of it. And it was weird for AD just, I think, never bring the ball up. But in any case, like I think he's been more aggressive this preseason and hopefully that's, a sign of things to come. We'll see. But it's nice to see a young 30-year-old. Sometimes, we treat AD like he's one of the 38-year-olds and like
he's not.
That
He's
dude's
a young
30.
guy.
He's 30 or 30. I think he turns 31 this year. So
he's technically still in his prime. 27 to 32.
Absolutely. We put him in the box. We just box him and LeBron in the same kind of sphere sometimes, and it's annoying. Like if LeBron sits, you don't have to also, we don't also have to sit AD sometimes.
Very true.
It's all right. He's 31. He'll be okay. So it's exciting.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of good stuff that we can take from preseason into regular season. A lot of small things that we discussed like along the way on different pods. But now we're here. Regular season is here. Tuesday, we finally officially all these wins and losses matter, and the stats matter, and we'll start our campaign to get Austin Reaves into the NBA All-Star game this year, which I'm sure many people will be upset about, but I'm looking forward to doing that. Rod, did you have any last thoughts that you could think of?
No, that's it. Fun preseason. Okay. Let's get the real thing started here.
Yeah. For all the folks that have joined us so far through the preseason, we thank you very, very much. We appreciate the support, whether it's a like, share, subscribe, whether you watch it on Apple and Spotify, or you're here in the live spaces with us every evening. We're going to continue doing these post-game spaces. We are probably I think we found a nice cadence with the Sunday night space that turns into the Monday morning pod. I think a lot of people like that a lot. The numbers show it. It's been fabulous. The audience continues to grow, and we appreciate all the folks for it. So whether you're listening to this in the evening or you're listening to this during the day, we hope you have a wonderful day. And if nothing else, Lakers season is here. We'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.
Peace.